therefore very unlikely that you will get resistance.
Well, it depends on the punishment, but punishment I think is like an incentive, or I guess a punishment enough that you wouldn't want to do something. Even if the student is challenging, they're not necessarily gonna want a punishment. So
this
up
is
until
true,
then,
it's big enough. In camp, you'll have big punishments.
no. Clean up apparently, right?
Clean up duty.
Is that a big punishment?
They've got to miss their rest hour, so it's annoying.
Okay, so would a clean-up duty as a coercive punishment, let's say, be enough to bring a challenging kid under control?
No.
Slightly, not very. Kids respond better to positive reinforcement rather than punishment.
Okay, so when we get down to reward, when we get down to reward, so when now writing off coercive power, you realise I've done shit. You're telling me the powers that schools run on is no use to you really.
Right.
Given that I understand schools are meant to transform people, not just to coerce them, meaning not just to make them do stuff, but make them believe it's right.
Brainwashed.
Yeah.
Educate them, or brainwash them.
I said not to brainwash them.
Yes, it could be I. Indoctrinate them or educate them, depends which side you're on. I've just surveyed Yeshiva and Beth Rivka year 8 and 10, King Khalid 8 and 10, Emmanuel College, which is a Catholic school, 8 and 10, and I'm looking at the extent to which people believe in the Noahide laws, internally, and also the extent to which they would behave well if we took away rewards and punishments.
What did we say?
I can already tell you now that out of 4,000 children, if you ask them, what would you do, the ones who are behaving well, how would you behave if we took away rewards or punishments? What do you think they say? You get a choice. They can say much worse, worse, about the same, better, much better.
About the same. The good kids are always going to be good kids.
Okay, there goes that theory, because 30% say they will be not just worse, but not a little worse or much worse if you take away punishments. 30%. Same in Beth Rivka, same in Yeshiva, same in the 22 high schools in the state. So we aren't any different, which is a real pity. I thought we would be. Then if we take away rewards, it goes up by another 10%. So you're about 40% now saying they're going to deteriorate if you take away the external constraints. So we can manage people with external constraints like rewards and punishments reasonably well, but nothing's going in. So that's a problem. Even that's a problem. There's order, but it's a problem. So your job actually is to transform people. So you should be thinking about this very dearly. It's very important to you. If you can get away with coercive power, that still mightn't be the answer. So even if your punishments work, it mightn't be the answer. They may do it, but resent it, and you misquote. So you're going to have to think about this a fair bit. So coercive power, I'm saying for the moment, is not great. The research on it's also not great. It used to work when you could hurt people, because they would avoid the hurt. Now it's very hard to do anything that bad. It didn't change them, because I think since we've ever done research, about 80% of people seem to be obedient or compliant. My guess is most of you are compliant, meaning you're not obedient to rewards and punishments, but you're compliant to relationships, meaning you don't want to damage your relationships with the people who are running this thing or the people sitting around you. So you'll manage your own behaviour because of that. You may not even think it the right thing to do even. Who knows? We have to do some research to see how internalised it really is. How do you behave when there's no one around? That would be an interesting observation. So we could just have all the teachers walk out and see what you do, etc. So it's an area of interest, but coercive power is not a big seller. What about legitimate power? Do you think you'll get commitment from legitimate power?
No.
Do what you're told kind of stuff?
No.
No? You're right, you won't. And yet these two are most commonly observed powers in schools for challenging children. The two that you would say are no good is what we give people. It's very hard to understand, really, because we should know that. No, in fact, they don't want to try some of them because they don't think their business when you ask them in an interview. So you can even get people to leave these alone. This goes for parents too. You can get people to leave these alone, but they will drift back over time. They somehow regress back to these two, there's something attractive to people to use these two, even though they don't work. Maybe. Okay, what about relationship power? Is that going to get you commitment?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anyone think it's no use?
No.
Okay, so then you've got to ask for one,
It will give
why would people in charge of a group send you to somebody else if you misbehave?
so that they can maintain the positive relationship.
Instead, they've got more legitimate power, which we said doesn't work. So they send you to someone with more legitimate power and bigger punishments, thinking maybe they'll fix you. Whereas in fact we just said not much use. So even sending people to someone else is a questionable activity in terms of what will work well for internalisation. Doesn't make sense. But having a good relationship with people does. So if I said to you, let's try this. You have been taking groups of any kind? Yeah? You know girls? Yeah,
Yes,
that's a
yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Think of the, not the most challenging girl, because she's probably what I'll call a D, which means she's got bigger issues. Think of the second most challenging girl you've got. Think of her, you know, you got her in mind? You've got her in your mind.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you 2 questions. If you can answer these, you are going to be useful. If you can't, you can't be useful. What do you think she thinks she's still good at?
Sorry, could you?
I'll say it again. Can you answer this question? What do you think that girl thinks that she is still good at?
Getting their attention.
No, it's not a, it's not, no, I'm saying competent. Something she's competent at.
Denying rule.
Maybe she's got a
Yeah,
talent.
like something
Maybe
that she does
she's.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
You're being generous.
Think of that girl and think of her
Being
personal
funny,
strengths.
It's in an entertaining way, it's not